Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sultan al-Qalam, literally king of the pen, is one of the revealed names of Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the promised Messiah alayhi salatu wassalam. The promised Messiah came to wage the true jihad, the jihad of the pen, to provide incontrovertible arguments for the truth of Islam and of its holy founder, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. The movement that the promised Messiah founded, the Ahmadiyya Jama'at, has continued in this vein and has continued to wage this true jihad of the pen and continued to push back against those who would seek to distort the true message and the true face of Islam. I'm extremely lucky to be joined today by some guests in the studio to discuss the legacy of the promised Messiah and also the work of the Ahmadiyya Jama'at in spreading the true message of Islam. I'm joined by Abdullah Wagishauser Saab, who is the National President, Amir Jama'at of Germany, and Abdul Wahab Adam Saab, who is Amir Jama'at, National President of Ghana.
Thank you.
I'm also joined by Haris Zaffar Saab, who is the National Spokesperson for the Ahmadiyya Jama'at in the United States. And also by Fareed Ahmed Saab, who is the National Spokesperson for the Ahmadiyya Jama'at in the United Kingdom. I'm also joined outside the studio by Abid Khan Saab, who is the International Spokesperson for the Ahmadiyya Jama'at. Amir Saab Ghana, perhaps I could start with you. And this idea of Sultan al-Qalam, such a strong idea, it's such a powerful idea. Could you expand on it a little? What does it really mean?
You see, we live in times when people have criticisms against Islam. Most of them, if not all of them, are of course baseless. But you see, if you do not know the facts, then you might be deceived to believe that those are some of the concepts about Islam, and people will then be misled about them. Now, for instance, people say that Islam was made to spread by the sword, and this is not true. It's obviously false, because the Holy Qur'an says, "La ikraha fi din." There's no compulsion in religion. So if the Holy Qur'an says there's no compulsion in religion, the Qur'an and its message cannot be spread by the sword. But then if that is the case, there must be a way of spreading the Qur'an and its message more effectively. So we say that in our time, we have the promised Messiah alayhi salam, about whom a prophecy was made that he would come and then restore the true teachings of Islam to the people of the world. Now he says himself, he writes in one of the books that is written, that if you were to collect the criticisms that people have against Islam from different parts of the world, there would be a huge mountain. And if you were to line up the books that are used to criticize Islam, it would cover miles and miles. You see, but then it had to be refuted. How did he refute it? As Sultan al-Qalam, which means the king of the pen, as you rightly pointed out, but which also means somebody who has a full control and command over the use of the pen. He wrote as many as 80 books, covering almost every subject under the sun, proving that God does exist. So the atheists and the others, agnostics, will know that, look, you cannot just run around, say that there's no God. Then you have the other religious communities that felt that Islam was false. Then he refuted also those. And then everything under the sun, whether it was scientific, whether it was historic, whether it was social, whatever it was, the promised Messiah took it up, alayhi salam, and then refuted it in the most robust way. And that is the essence of Sultan al-Qalam.
And mashallah, the Jama'at that the promised Messiah founded has always been at the forefront of pushing this idea of the true nature of Islam and answering these arguments against Islam. Fareed Saab, could I ask you, as far as the Jama'at, the Ahmadiyya Jama'at in the UK is concerned, what sort of endeavours have we been able to make in terms of promoting this peaceful image of Islam?
I think, as Wahab rightly pointed out, that we are a Jama'at founded by Hazrat Masih Maud al-Islam, who came to revive the true principles of Islam. And one of his main messages was about the clarification of Jihad, whereas it's misinterpreted by others. He gave us this focus of Jihad, of improving the self, but also to the Jihad of spreading the message of Islam. And the beauty is that after him, his Khilafat, we have a source of wisdom that is missing outside of the Jama'at Ahmadiyya. And that source of wisdom is the difference between success and failure. Under Hazur's wise guidance and leadership and divine inspiration, one example of this wisdom is the campaign to spread the message of Islam in the UK to 10% of the population every year. A small example, but the wisdom behind that meant that it unleashed a wave of activity that was coordinated in the press, in the media, in the Kharja, all working together to reach the UK population. And through that, it was the first time perhaps in the UK where that coordination, that seamless work was carried out. So what we had was an innovative idea of obviously doing tabligh by reaching out to people door to door. Alongside that, using new ideas of advertising and raising awareness on the buses in London, so people would see the message and take that to their heart. Alongside that, that generated a lot of interest in the press, and that campaign, when it was launched, it reached an international audience of something like 65 countries. So one idea from the Khalifa, the blessed idea, reached a global audience immediately. The campaign was picked up by the media in local areas, on ITV, on BBC, and when the campaign entered its second phase, it reached internationally through CNN, through Sky TV, because people were interested that here is a viewpoint being presented that they hadn't come across in this way before. So that's the source of our success, limited success be it so far, and the source of the work that we're doing.
MashaAllah. And what sort of positive effects have you seen speaking to people, whether they be politicians or ordinary people, from these campaigns?
Well, the campaign, as I mentioned, was coordinated, so it was supported by the Prime Minister of Great Britain. It was supported by, I think, 65 members of Parliament signed up in writing to support the campaign. It was supported by faith groups. People written back, having received the leaflet or seen the messages, sent emails saying, I'm a Christian, or I'm a Hindu, or I'm a Jew, but the message that you're promoting is one that I had not come across within the fold of Islam. So I congratulate you and I support you. Some people said, you know, the work you're doing, send us more. We want to spread it in our churches. We want to tell people in schools. So this is the feedback that we've had as a result of this campaign. And this is something that's coming day by day. Each time, I mean, Hazur mentioned kindly some of the feedback in his address just now. That's the feedback we're getting from the people. So it's received support across the spectrum.
MashaAllah. And Haris, you've had similar campaigns in the United States, with I think with similar effects. Could you tell us a little bit about the work that's been going on there?
Absolutely. Alhamdulillah, we've seen Allah Ta'ala's hand in play here. It all began in 2007 when we were trying to purchase a property in Walkersville, Maryland. And we're in order to build a Jalsa site for ourselves. And we felt like we were having a big setback because they weren't allowing us to. But this is where you see Allah Ta'ala being Khairul Makirin, the best of planners, that He still had an ultimate plan, where Amir Saab USA was brought onto a news network, National Fox News Network, first time we ever been on national television, to discuss this. And that's where he realized that we needed a team because we didn't have a centralized message. And in the midst of trying to create a team, that teddy bear incident happened in Sudan, where the British school teacher was arrested for allowing a teddy bear to be named Muhammad. And CNN called our headquarters about the Rahman, asking for someone to come on and speak about it, and nobody's willing to do it. And so that's where it really instigated that we need a media team that can really get our message out of who we are and what we stand for. So from that point, we not only established what our community's name is, what our tagline is. Amir Sahib, under the direction of Hazur, established our tagline that we are Muslims who believe in the Messiah, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian. And from there, the launch of our Muslims for Peace campaign, building upon the success of our brothers in the United Kingdom, that really got us on the map. And so once future episodes happened, the Times Square bombing was really the impetus for us to launch the Muslims for Peace campaign. We've had similar responses from all over the country, where our phone number, Why Islam, our website, muslimsforpeace.org, has been receiving a lot of positive feedback, and it's really reinvigorated, especially the youth, but all of our Jama'at members across the country, that it's not so hard to do tabligh. Whereas they thought tabligh was, I need to convince them of the truth of Hazrat Masih Maud, here it was, I just need to give them a flyer and walk away. So it has inspired a whole wave of resources within our Jama'at, and mashallah, now it's really put us on the map, that we are now getting calls from news networks or other media outlets just to get our commentary, whether it's about Ahmadiyyat issues or just about Islam in general. For us to defend Islam on a public national network is pretty powerful, that they come to the Ahmadi Muslim community to provide an Islamic perspective on an issue, and that continues to happen. And a quick example would be the Sikh Gurdwara that was recently attacked. We reacted so quickly that our message was our press release was read live on air across the news networks in Milwaukee, and so people knew that Muslims are condemning this attack on the Sikh temple. So alhamdulillah, with this leadership by Dr. Simran Sahab, who's a Naib Amir, under the guidance of Amir Sahab, and of course with all the approvals and guidance from Hazur, alhamdulillah, it's just blossomed over the past few years.
MashaAllah, another example of the blessings of the promised Messiah. We are also extremely lucky to be joined by the head of the Ahmadiyya Jama'at's press department, Abid Khan Sahab. Abid, can you tell us something about the role of your department and what it does?
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, assalamu alaikum. Ahmad, can you hear me? Yeah, the International Press Office is a conduit for the Jama'at to know the instructions of Hazrat Amir al-Mu'mineen. And so there's 200 Jama'ats, and as Hazur said today, actually now we've increased, mashallah, to 202. And so now we pass on the messages of how to deal with the media to all the Jama'at. We do this in various ways, whether it's through press releases, whether it's through campaigns, or we issue persecution information as well. And the thing is that then they take it to their national communities and they distribute it to their national press. And in this way, the whole world is getting the message of the Khalifa.
Jazakallah Abid Khan Sahab. Amir Sahib, Germany, it's not just about the English-speaking world. I'm sure you've had similar campaigns in Germany and similar efforts to really promote the true image of Islam. Can you tell us a little something about the work that's been happening there?
I mean, there's a living competition going on in the Jama'at worldwide, and of course we know exactly what is done in Ghana, what is done in America, what is done in UK. And of course, nowadays, I mean, there's no need to start the work from the bottom on your own. You just, I mean, translate, I mean, certain issues. I mean, you modify it a little bit. I mean, we can say that a campaign is being done in Germany for many, many years. But in the last years, you can say 2007, 2008 was the year where the things started to become more organized. But you can see now in Germany results coming up. I mean, for example, one issue is that we have hundreds of newspapers in small cities and in bigger cities. Before, when they were reporting about Ahmadiyyat, it was always a distorted, I mean, information. Yeah? I mean, you had later on to phone them to correct things. You know, they have not understood the matter of the promised Messiah, that he is a reformer in Islam. Now you can see throughout Germany, names are written right, you know, no spelling mistakes. I mean, they have a source now all over Germany. They click into the internet and they get proper information. Often in the smaller newspapers, they take our information one by one. I mean, they take it over, yeah, and sometimes even they ask us to write articles for them. And in this way, I mean, the message of Ahmadiyyat has become crystal clear that we are a peace-loving community. I mean, throughout, Before, when a mosque was being built, they went always to the interior police, to find out who they are. Now they need not to do it. Ahmadiyyat, it's clear. When there's the first mosque, they say, oh, it's a good chance when Ahmadiyyat comes first because there's no objection, except by Muslims. This is still an issue. But on the other hand, we have observed too that in some issues, especially on the national TV, when they come to know who we are, they are not inviting us purposely, because they want to have a radical over there representing Islam. This issue we should, touch as well. Yeah? There is still the problem that many TV channels, they are especially invite a radical, to present Islam from the negative part. Yeah? So here now, I think we have to make more improvement in the one or the other way. We might able to touch the subject later on. Yeah?
I think that's probably one of the biggest fights that we have. And Rita, perhaps you can comment on this. In terms of the media and in terms of their immediate response when they think of what is a Muslim, unfortunately they will often hone in on the radical. And how do we promote ourselves and promote this true image of Islam and make people understand that actually we are true Muslims?
I think there is an issue there, but also there's an issue from our side that perhaps in the past we hadn't taken paid enough attention to how we could get ourselves on their radar. So there's always an expectation that, of course, Ahmadiyyat is the true Islam, the peaceful Islam, it should be there, but also what efforts have been made to make our presence felt. And I think through the campaigns that have been running across the world, there is now at least some understanding that a group exists that stands for peace. And also, we certainly found in the UK, Haris referred to in America, a similar example where, as a result of this work, when an issue occurred, the Qur'an burning issue, for example, a year or so ago, we had the whole of the world's press at Beth el-Futuh. Now that was a direct result of the contacts that we were able to build as a result of the work we've done on Tabligh. So there are sort of small steps of progress we can see, and these people were there and they remember you for the next issue that comes along. So I think there's more work to be done, but I think this has certainly moved us a lot further than we had moved before.
And Ghana, the Jama'at, the Ahmadiyya Jama'at in Ghana is certainly very well thought of. How have you achieved this?
Well, in the very first place, as the Minister of Germany said, because of the leadership of Khilafat, we don't have to invent the wheel. Whatever is being done in the UK, whatever is being done in the US, and whatever is being done in other parts of the world, it's known to everybody within the community. So you don't have to start all over again. You know that they have been successful by adopting a certain system. You can just pick it up with the approval of Huzur, and then you are on your way. So it doesn't waste more time, it doesn't waste more money, and then we are on our way. So that is one thing. The other thing is, I think it has clearly brought about the clear distinction between Ahmadiyya Muslim community and the other Muslims. While other Muslims are running around throwing bombs and so on, it's only the Ahmadiyya Muslim community that is talking about peace all the time. And so they now see clearly that if they want peace, they must go to the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. And that is what is happening in Ghana. Most of the things that go on in our country about religion has been taken from the Jama'at, because we know that the Hazrat Mahdi alayhi salatu wasalam had spoken about the unity of religions. And so we have the Religious Founders Day, for instance. So we celebrate the Religious Founders Day, invite Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, and others, and all of them come. And then at the end of the day, we begin to realize that we all have the same aim and objective. The only thing is we have various ways of approaching it. Now, that being the case, what is the point in fighting among ourselves? The right thing is we should sit together and then deliberate over these things and then see which one works for our country. Because of that, we have now GCRP, Ghana Conference of Religions for Peace, and I've been the chairman of it for some time. Indeed, we initiated it, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. It is recognized by the people of the country, it's recognized by the leadership, and so they know that the Ahmadiyya Muslim community has been, force to reckon with so far as peace and peace building is concerned. And as a result, we now have another national organization that has come about as a result of parliamentary deliberation and an act of parliament, and that is the National Peace Council. This has brought together a lot of religious leaders, because they know that when the religious leaders are now united, they can speak with one voice and talk to the entire nation. Those are the people we should rely upon to build peace. So because of that, the press also would always approach the community when there is something about peace generally, and something about Islam also, and something about religion generally. Instead of beating about the bush, they come straight to the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. That's the community that can provide correct answers and true answers.
We're also extremely lucky to be joined on the telephone by Qamar Suleiman Saab, who is one of the national spokespersons for the Ahmadiyya Jama'at in Pakistan. Qamar Saab, can you hear me? Okay, unfortunately we seem to have lost Qamar Saab. It's late in the evening in Pakistan, and somewhat difficult telephone lines there. Haris Saab, one of the other questions that I had was, Hazur mentioned it in his khitab just now as well, but the role of social media, Twitter and other social media, that is increasingly becoming important. We see a lot of young members of the Jama'at becoming involved in that and responding to allegations against Islam and against the Jama'at online. How do you see that moving forward, and what do you think the role of that is at the moment?
It's incredibly important that especially the youth are taking part of that, because we've seen that more and more people from around the world, non-Muslims, are turning to the social space for information, for exchange of ideas. And so we've seen people have debates, even though within 140 characters each time, having debates with other people on religious concepts, or taking things that happen all over the world in the competition that we have, as in the spirit of Festival Khairat, all of the articles that we have published to disseminate them. I think it will increasingly become important as a tool for disseminating information. And I think the youth can play a vital role of not just leveraging Twitter on their own, but they have social circles, still physical social circles, as long as they last before they all become cyber, that they can share this information with. When we have articles or we have events, if nobody knows about them, then they don't play that critical tabligh role, that media role that we would want. So I think it's increasingly important for them not only to write, but for them to share. And so they could share links to articles, links to our Facebook page, the Jama'at Facebook page, links to our YouTube channels. I think that's how our information, our message will begin to be more widely accepted and widely heard, inshallah ta'ala.
And mashallah, the huge resources, the online resources the Jama'at has, Al-Islam, increasingly being used, and people going to that to get answers about Islam as well. And you mentioned, Amir Saab, that in Germany as well you have the same experience, that people will go to the Jama'at's websites to get information about Islam.
I mean, this is very important that we are present over there. Of course, I have a bit more reserved view concerning, using of all the media parts, but anyhow to be present there, because we know many converts, got their first contact through internet, whether books were present over there, whether information to certain questions. I think it is very, very important. Even now we have some young filmmakers, who has made movies which are put on YouTube, and they are spreading, and even they get contacts to politicians. There are possibilities which we cannot even imagine. At least people in my age cannot imagine, how far. But I'm always a bit careful concerning this matter, because especially YouTube, you are very soon in an area where you don't want to go. This is a matter, where one has to be careful, and we have to teach our people, and we have to fix certain rules and regulations. then everything will be fine.
I mean, I think that was another theme that I wanted to touch on as well, that the intentions are there, especially amongst the young members of the Jama'at, to do something, to go online, to write a blog, to go onto Twitter. But this all has to be coordinated, and a sort of a sensible approach, a coordinated approach is incredibly important. How do we achieve that?
I mean, at least we had in the beginning some experience where we had to close certain things, because it's a different communication when you do not see each other, you know, because you don't know who is behind. Yeah, maybe you have more experience with it.
No, what I would say is that obviously we can't control everybody. There will be people that use powerful tools for inappropriate purposes, unfortunately. But what we can do is provide the guidelines and to create the atmosphere of encouraging it. I know the UK Jama'at, they have a very well-organized Twitter team that now is international in scope. And they have these Twitter campaigns to try to get certain elements or certain hashtags or certain themes to be trending. And I think, mashallah, I found out just a little while ago that the term Jalsa UK is now trending in Germany. And so when it's trending, then people who are just average users in Germany on Twitter, they will see on their left side that here are the things that are trending. And they'll say, oh, what's this Jalsa UK thing? They'll click on it and they'll find out. So like Amir Saab said, internet is a powerful tool. And I myself am indebted to the German Jama'at and their internet team, because my wife converted to Islam in Germany after a website that was operated by the German Jama'at. So I see the power there if it's honed in the right way.
That's the thing. We have just to this matter, we have one radical preacher. He uses YouTube, and we have a few students. They take his tapes and cut it and answer it with his own questions. And I mean, the reaction of his followers is so horrible that you can say that we touched the wound. Yeah, I mean, we cleared that. I mean, everything is a couple of lies and allegations and controversial issues which are not fitting to each other. So very powerful, and he has, I mean, so many touches. I mean, people are going. He becomes prominent in a negative sense.
In a negative.
I think this, Amir Saab, please.
Well, I think it is the good fortune of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jama'at that we have a leadership that guides us all the time. For instance, this is a powerful tool, nobody can doubt that. But then it can also be used negatively. So where it can be used negatively, the leadership has a Khalifa al-Masih and cautions us. Now this thing is something that we must be very careful about, because it can land you in trouble. But the others, which have proved to be, useful, I say again, you don't have to invent the wheel. They should share those ideas with us, those experiences with the other countries that haven't got the good fortune of knowing them, so that, like it has been said, properly, coordinated, then all of us can use it profitably for the benefit of the Jama'at.
Fareed, in terms of social media in the UK, as Haris mentioned, Twitter has been a big thing in the UK Jama'at. What do you see the future in terms of social media?
I think in the future, obviously, we move along, and the future is being developed as we speak. So certainly the space that exists at the moment, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Twitter, whether it's any other internet television channels that are being launched, and in all of these areas, the UK Jama'at is active. We will soon be engaging in internet TV through MTA. Obviously, it's already there from the Americas. We already have a presence on Twitter. We already have a presence on YouTube. And I think we've talked about the healthy competition that exists between Jama'at. I think this is an area where it brings the world together. We can benefit from the work that's done in these countries, because we will deal with people who speak different languages, come from different cultures. And it's a great asset for us to know that there's material in German, in the different languages across the world. If there's a presence in America, we can benefit from that. So I think, in a way, the Khilafat also brings us together as one force, although there's different efforts being made to promote the message of Islam. So I think whatever new opportunities exist, we've been told that every technology, all the creation is there to serve mankind, and therefore is there to serve Islam and serve Ahmadiyyat. If we can make the best use of it, the results will be there for all to see.
Jazakallah. I'd like to thank all of my guests. We've had a fantastic discussion on the nature of Sultanul Kalam, the role of the Ahmadiyya Jama'at, and the legacy of the promised Messiah ﷺ in defending Islam, in projecting to the world the true image of Islam. And alhamdulillah, by the grace of God and with the prayers of our Khalifa, Hazrat Khalifatul Masih al-Khamis, Ayyadullah Ta'ala bin Nasr al-Aziz, the Jama'at is increasing its efforts and increasing the scope of its work in this respect. Thank you for joining us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.